Hello. We are moving on and doing a quick introduction to confidence interval. So we're in lesson 7.1 where we're going to guess the mystery mean. Your notes will say that you're going to be making your best guess at the mean of the Chapter 6 test scores. However, we did not take a Chapter 6 test, so we're going to look at my most attempted Math Excel assignment, number 18. I have 30 scores that we'll look at later. Learning targets up there on the top left, you can see that we're going to interpret a confidence interval in context, determine the point estimate margin of error from a confidence interval, and use confidence intervals to make decisions. And we'll have all those in our box on the next page here. So let's take a look at the scores. I have them on Canvas. If you go to Canvas, you can look at the Math Excel 18 data, and it'll pull up all right here. So I only have 30 students attempt it. We have all the values there of the most recent Math Excel 18 data. And you can take a look at it and make a guess. Or we're going to try and find a better way to actually estimate the mean without actually going through and calculating the actual mean, which we can do pretty quickly. There's only 30 of them. But let's go through and try and do this. So how can we best estimate the mean? Let's take a sample of the mean. So that's just what we're going to do. We're going to take a random sample of 5 scores and record the scores down here and find the mean. So you may have noticed that I had them numbered 1 through 30. So we're going to go to random.org, start here. We're going to scroll down a little bit to numbers. We want an integer generator. You can also use Siri. You can use the calculator. I'm going to try and use random.org here. We want 5 random integers between 1 and 30, format however you would like. We do want to make sure that we have 5 separate numbers. So I had 16, 24, 22, 18, and 22 again. So I'm just going to go and I'm going to highlight. I had 16 and I had 18. What other ones did I have? 16, 18, 22, 24, 18, 22, 24. I'm just going to highlight all those. And then I also I got 22 twice. So I'm going to just go again, get another number randomly here, and let's say 25, that first one there. So we're at 25. So I'm going to take these 5 numbers. That's going to be my data. And I'm going to copy them. And I already have a Staplet set up for one quantitative variable. I'm going to use that as my, that's not all of the data I wanted. So 88, 24, I can type. 95, 95, 25. And we begin analysis, and I see I got 3 really high grades, 2 really low grades, and what I'm looking for is my mean there of 65.4. So I'm going to copy my data and throw that into my Math Excel. And I'm going to, we could have done this by hand, just add them all up and divide by the total number. There's 5 of them. Or just use Staplet.com, and we can get the mean that way as well. So what I've done here, this is my point estimate for my true mean. This is my point estimate. I'm going to highlight this word point estimate because that is important. And that's going to be like right in the middle. This is what I think it is, 65.4. So what are we finding this point estimate for? Let's identify the population sample, parameter, and the statistics. So our population here is going to be all of my stats students that did Math Excel 18. And the sample is going to be the 5 randomly selected students. And then our parameter is going to be mu. We are going to be looking for the mean of the population. We're looking for mu. We don't know what it equals. That's what we're trying to estimate. So we're trying to estimate that with X bar, our sample mean. And our X bar, the X bar I found was 65.4. Yours might be different. Let's draw a bar over that so we know that it is a sample mean, X bar. So my best estimate for the true mean of these scores right now, I calculated, was that 65.4. So I'm not too confident that that's correct. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of give myself some wiggle room. So we're going to change number 4 here. We're going to change the point estimate into an interval. There's a key word there. We want that interval of values. What we're going to do is we're going to add and subtract the same number from our point estimate. The number that we're going to add and subtract is called the margin of error. So what margin of error would you need to add or subtract so that we are, and you'll see this pop up a lot, 95% confident that our interval will capture the true mean Math Excel 18 score? And why'd you pick that value? So I'll let you think about it. What number do you think you can add? Is there a mathematical computation we can do to find a number that we can add to go on either side of our point estimate there? So some thoughts, some ideas can be, you can analyze the numbers and think about that way. You can also add or subtract maybe 10% of the point estimate. Maybe on Staplet, we found the mean on Staplet. We also found the standard deviation. So maybe we can say that we want to add and subtract 2 times the standard deviation to our point estimate. Or maybe we'll just be like, you know what? I just want to add and subtract 10, 5, 10, 15 to feel confident that in my new interval, my new range of values, instead of just saying, hey, my mean is my best guess for the mean is 65.4, I want to range to say, I'm confident that the actual mean of these scores will fall in between this interval. So let's just go with plus or minus 10. So I'm going to say plus or minus 10 just to make it easy for this video. And then so my interval of values that I think will contain is I'll take 65.4 and subtract 10, and that'll give me 55.4. And I'll take 65.4 and I'll add 10, and that'll give me 75.4. So then my interval, I'm going to write 55.4, comma 75.4. So I'm hoping that in this interval, the actual true mean is within this interval. Typically, we'd have them written up on a board. So I do want you to go to this Google form. And on this Google form, you should enter in your sample mean and what you think the margin of error would be to have your interval. What I'm going to do is I'm going to collect all of your sample means that you got, and I'm going to take all of your margin of errors, I'm going to average them, and then I'm going to display, I'll show you the graph of all of our sample means and the average margin of error, giving us confidence intervals for all of ours. And, if you throw a little explanation of why you chose what you did as a margin of error, that'd be good to know too. So we'll have that and we'll review that after classes. One of the groups got 81, 89, so 81 to 89 as their interval. What was their point estimate and what is their, well, hold on. Before we get there, I do want to write down what this means. So what this means is that we, or I, are 95% confident that the interval from those two numbers, 55.4 to 75.4, captures the true mean Math Excel 18 score. So this is my interpretation of my confidence interval. And we'll be seeing that sentence over and over and over again all unit. So moving on to the next group, they are 95% confident that the interval 81 to 89 captures the true mean Math Excel 18 score. What was their point estimate? So in order to find the point estimate, we need to figure out kind of what the middle value is. So their point estimate I'll just put it over here by the words point estimate. We're going to take that, let's do it in our equation. We're going to take the 81, add it to 89, and we want to divide that whole thing. I'm going to divide that whole thing by 2 to figure out the average. And so that'll give us 170 divided by 2, which gives us 85. So right in the middle of 81, 89 is 85. And then we want to figure out what their margin of error was. So a couple different ways to do the margin of error. We know that their middle value is 85, and we want to go up how many to 89, down how many to 81. So we can say that 89 minus 85 equals 4. And then also we should note that 85, the middle number, minus 81, the lower number, is also 4. So we have our margin of error. You can calculate it either way. You don't have to do both. You can do it either way. Take the upper bound of the interval, subtract the point estimate, take the point estimate and subtract the lower bound of the interval, and those should get the same values. So our point estimate, their point estimate, is 85. Their margin of error equals 4. Your teacher claims that the mean Math Excel 18 score is 88.4. Does your interval support or deny this claim, and why? So mine does not. No, because 88.4 is not in my interval. Yours might, and you can say yes, because 88.4 is in your interval, my interval. And if you did it right, good job. You got it. You did it. You chose a good margin of error. You had good data to choose from to get that correct value of 88.4. All right, let's wrap up these learning targets here. So our first learning target is to interpret a confidence interval in context. So our interpretation, interpret confidence interval. We are, and generally we'll say 95%. Sometimes you'll just have a number, what percentage you're going to throw in there. And we want to throw in that word confident, confidence. So we are something percent confident that the interval from our lower bound to our upper bound captures the true. And then we have to add some context here. Sometimes we'll be talking about means. Sometimes we'll be talking about proportions. That yes, they carried over from last section there. We want to include context because we are interpreting our confidence interval here. Put that all over there. Might be able to make it a little bigger. There we go. So our second learning target, we can see determine the point estimate and margin of error from confidence interval. Our point estimate equals our lower bound plus our upper bound, that whole thing divided by 2. And this is if we have our confidence interval is from A to B. And our margin of error, one way to do this would be B minus our point estimate. We could also do our point estimate minus A. We can throw that down. We got room. Either way, choose one of them. And then finally, our third learning target, use confidence intervals to make decisions. We want to finally check to see if the value is in the interval. Then we can say that we agree, our confidence interval like agrees or denies. All right, ask your teacher any questions. We'll work on application 7.1 together, applying our confidence interval concepts. Have a great day.